Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabaz and as ever, I am the IT Geek. Welcome back to mine and Dwayne's SC300 Microsoft Exam Prep YouTube series. We're now started on Module 3 a few episodes ago, and we're at the final part. It's the final episode within the Microsoft Cloud Defender for Apps sort of topic. And as I mentioned, I'm again joined by Dwayne. Hi Dwayne.
Hey, Shabaz, how you doing today?
I am not bad, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent, excellent, and yeah. So we've had a few good demos so far, and this episode again is going to be very demo heavy. We're going to have two demos, less of me talking, more of Dwayne, as I mentioned. So let's get started. And yeah, so as I mentioned, we are in Module 3 now. And Module 3 is the implementing access and management for applications topic. So what do we have in store for you today? So this is the third and final part of managing and monitoring app access by using Microsoft Cloud, or Microsoft Defender for Cloud, should I say. We'll talk about creating access and session policies in Microsoft Defender Cloud apps. We're then going to look at implementing and managing policies for OAuth apps. I'll then hand over to Dwayne, and we've got a couple of demos. First one's going to be creating access and session policies in Microsoft Defender for Cloud apps. Then we're going to look at creating a new OAuth app policy as well. So let's look at some of the prerequisites when you're using session policies. First one is quite, I'm sure you can guess, it's a 0D premium license, and in this case P1 is required. So as a minimum. Let's make sure we have the relevant apps. Should be deployed with conditional access app control. We also need to make sure we've configured our identity provider, in this case Azure AD, to work with Defender for Cloud apps as well. Okay, so some integration and some configuration needs to be done in advance of using session policies. So let's talk a bit about session policies. So Microsoft Defender for Cloud apps session policies enables real-time session level monitoring. It allows you that granular visibility into your cloud apps and the ability to take different actions depending on the policy you've set for a user session. So with session control, you can allow access while monitoring the session and/or limit specific session activities using that sort of reverse proxy capability of the conditional access app control. Session policy enables you to set the user session controls and allow access, and it enables you to monitor all activities, block specific activities, protect your files when they're downloaded, and also, probably most important, block any malware. Just going to touch on, again, this is very short sort of theoretical part that I'm going to go through. So I just want to touch on implementing and managing policies for OAuth before we get into the demos. So in addition to existing investigation of OAuth apps connected to your environment, you can set permission policies so that you get automated notifications when an OAuth app meets a certain criteria. I'll give you a quick example of that. So you can automatically be alerted when there are apps that require higher level permissions and were authorized by more than 50 users. OAuth app policies enables you to investigate which permissions each app requested and which users authorize them for Office 365 and OAuth apps. So now I've gone through that quite quickly, but again, I feel it's one of those topics which is probably best seeing, and this is why we're going to do a couple of demos. So I will hand over to you, Dwayne.
All right, thanks, Shabaz. Let's talk about a little bit about how we can now handle and work with policies within Microsoft Defender for Cloud apps. Now, if you remember from the last demo, we set up this app protection policy in here for our session controls, and we use the block downloads directly in conditional access policies. Now we can create a custom policy in here for if we're using like a third-party SAML application, or we can set this to monitor only in in our conditional access policy, and then we enable this policy by turning it on. So those are two steps you have to do. You have to create a session policy for the conditional access app control, and then use conditional access app control in here to allow us to use those, and that's going to pass on really control to the policies within Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. So when we do that, then we come in here, and I'm in the security.microsoft.com. If you don't know how to get to your Defender for Cloud Apps, best way to do that and quickest is to go to security.microsoft.com, scroll down to more resources, and you'll see Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps over here, and you select open. It is a portal of its own with your tenant name.portal.cloudappsecurity.com. For me, it's always easier to remember security.microsoft.com. I can never than putting all that together, because I always get them scrambled in my head. For this, for these policies, we go to control and say we have policies here. We also have templates that we can use for templated policies if we want to just make it easier on us, just like we did with conditional access policy templates. But if we wanted to create a new policy, we can create a policy in here. We're going to start with the OAuth policy, and we're going to look at the OAuth policy. Again, creating a policy name. We'll say demo policy for OAuth. And we can say, set up a category, threat detection. We can select, then give a description to it. We can add filters based on permissions, publisher, user. We'll say user and user count. So if they try to access a file, say, if we're trying to access a file 10 times concurrently, we can create an alert then and set the alert limits and really alert what is taking place. And you see we got governance against against Office 365. So anything within Office 365, we can integrate this with Power Automate, create a playbook to automate this, and maybe send it to a dashboard. So we have a lot different capabilities in here. Like I said, we can do app state, community use, permission levels, and we can set different filters up for our policy depending on what we're doing here. We can set up for access control again, and categorize these in different ways. So again, it gives us a way for our utilizing OpenAuth policies and OpenAuth capabilities for our cloud apps, and how we access Office 365 and who might have access, or how we alert on maybe suspicious activities that might be taking place on our Office 365 tenant. We're going to leave this page here. We're going to give this a try here. Fingers crossed that this has updated for us. If not, we'll just talk through it. But access policies and session policies are somewhat similar, but they have a little bit different, policies and different conditions that it's going to look against. So if we do an access policy here, and again, my app control has not updated itself, but here we can set up a category based on access control, and we can create an access policy on what users can do, and what they can access around around our cloud apps like SharePoint, Office 365, and whatnot. And we can set up different severity levels with session policies. If I go in here, and again, still not giving me everything that I want to see, we can set up session controls based on different types of controls. Again, like what they're doing in the session, like printing or downloading, are all within there. If I was to go, let me go in here and look at one of these policies here in terms of malicious OAuth. We can edit this and change this if we want to. So these are some of the templates and policies. Let me see if I can find maybe a session policy that's already in here. Here's like a risky sign-in. So anomaly detection policy, very similar again to policies that we have available to us within identity protection. But if we want to expand to a whole, a larger breadth and depth of cloud applications, Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps is very helpful. As I stated in one of the previous demos, you can discover your apps and really put control over who has access to your to what applications, utilizing these access and session controls along with sanctioning and unsanctioning applications within Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. So it really gives you a lot deeper breadth into what's going on in your environment, who's going to different browser-based applications. If I wanted to kind of flip the switch here on our risk score, you can see applications that might be getting access that might be dangerous, and if they have a high level of use, we might want to unsanction them and put in a access and policy control, access policy or session control in place to avoid these being utilized. If you recall from when we were walking through this before, is each one of these in these risk scores shows you levels of compliance. So you could really cause yourself a lot of heartache and pain in an audit if you don't go through Defender for Cloud Apps and review these on a regular basis on who's accessing apps that might violate GDPR principles and things like that. So that's it for this demo. Shabaz, didn't go as smooth as I would like, but if anybody wants to understand more about the session controls and those policies, they're covered on the GitHub repo as well as in my book.
No, that's fine. People don't understand these are technically live labs to us as well. So we're doing live environment, well, not live environments, our own tenancies. But no, I appreciate that, Dwayne. Thank you. I think you've covered everything, to be honest with you. Couple of clicks here or there is not going to make a big difference. I think the main thing is we're getting the point across to people around what aspects they can, configure and what to expect. And that is a bit of a real life situation. You do enable a conditional access policy, especially when that conditional access policy is dependent on updating other aspects of Microsoft Cloud. It can take its time sometimes, and it's a totally different kind of area of the portal as well. So
don't be in a hurry when you're trying to make any kind of changes to policies and things in Microsoft.
Exactly.
That's
exactly. If that comes up in the exam, you saw it here. No, great. Thank you very much. So we covered again. It's a bit more demo heavy, and that was by design. I thought especially the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps topic is probably better seeing than hearing my dulcet tones. So again, thanks, Dwayne. That is the last episode within the Microsoft Cloud Defender for Apps topic. In the next topic, we're going to be talking about enterprise apps with single sign-on. So again, all our socials are in the description. Please do ping us and follow us, and let us know what you think. Dwayne's book link is also in the description. We heard last episode that the people have been buying that, and that's great news. So buy it and follow along with the series. And as Dwayne mentioned, that link to the GitHub labs is there as well, so you can follow that lab. Hopefully, you give it, you have enough time for it to synchronize it in your labs at home. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. So up until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.